Mil's Christmas decoration copycat fail. I shared this story in another subreddit, but I think you guys will appreciate it too. Hopefully it fits here. Let me give you some background. My husband and I use a whiteboard to manage our finances and goals. We list things we want or need, their estimated costs, how much we've saved, and our target purchase dates. It includes everything from appliances like a new fridge and dishwasher to fun items like a nice knife set or wish list things. I even include pictures, model numbers, and specific details. I'm quite organized and proud of this system. My father and his wife, who I call Smom, visit us fairly regularly. Smom always makes it a point to inspect my board, comment on everything, and express how unfortunate it is that we can't afford these things. Then, within a week or so, she will buy the exact item from our board for herself. Sometimes it's a smaller item like a coffee maker, other times it's something bigger, like a battery-powered toy car for her children. It's not just her buying the items that bothers me, it's her need to constantly point out that she got it first or imply that I'm copying her when I eventually buy the item myself. It's incredibly annoying and childish. Anyway, recently, I was browsing the Christmas section of a store right after Thanksgiving. I was actually looking for visual ideas for my board when I stumbled upon this huge, objectively ugly, and very expensive outdoor Christmas decoration set. An idea sparked. It was definitely not Smom's style, which made it even more appealing as a potential prank. When I got home, I immediately added the set to the high priority section of our board. I even went as far as to reallocate save money from other categories to this Christmas eyesore, making it look like we were saving up to buy it soon. I was really hoping this would be tempting enough for Smom, especially if I made it seem like this set was incredibly important to me. A couple of days later, my father and Smom came to visit. Smom, predictably, zeroed in on the board and asked about the Christmas decoration set. I gushed about it, describing it as essential to making my Christmas dreams come true. I genuinely love Christmas. I really exaggerated how much I wanted it. The following Monday, we went to visit my dad at Smom's place at her request, and just as expected, she had bought and set up the entire decoration set. It was even more hideous and over the top in person. I hated it, which made it perfect. She immediately started explaining how she had just fallen in love with it and had to have it. She made a big deal out of every single piece and how it was so worth the money. Finally, she concluded her gloating session by telling me that I have great taste and that she was so sorry she beat me to it. "Oh, actually, I don't even like this set," I told her, with a completely straight face. "I just put it on the board and pretended to like it to mess with my husband. He absolutely hates this kind of over-the-top stuff. But I'm really glad you love it, though." The smile completely disappeared from her face. For the rest of the visit, she was unusually quiet, barely saying anything. She looked like a kid who just got a lump of coal for Christmas. My dad kept asking her what was wrong, and she just kept saying, "I'm fine." Eventually, she claimed to have a headache and went to bed early. She's now refusing to talk to me, no usual texts or calls. Best Christmas ever. And to top it all off, this morning, I saw the entire decoration set listed in a local Facebook selling group for pickup after Christmas. So yes, definitely the best Christmas ever. Merry Christmas, everyone. Oh, the silent treatment, a classic JustNoMIL move. But honestly, chef's kiss to this petty revenge. If you want more satisfying Mil clapbacks, hit that subscribe button. Confronting future JNMIL with her own pet name, priceless reaction. I absolutely have to share this story, even though someone told me it might sound like bragging. After everything my partner and I have been through with his mother, and all the nasty things she said about us, this moment was just too satisfying. My partner and I were out shopping the other day. He wandered off to another section to avoid the makeup and beauty counters. I haven't been able to browse makeup in person for ages, usually just ordering online from Sephora because of everything going on. So I was really excited to finally be at a real counter, swatching and admiring everything in person. You know that scene in Parks and Rec where Ron Swanson can sense his ex-wife's presence and smell her whenever she's within a certain radius? It was kinda like that. I suddenly felt like someone was watching me and there was a shift in the atmosphere. I became acutely aware that I was alone at the counter and there were no store staff nearby. I glanced over and there she was, future MIL, staring at me with a really sour look on her face. MIL really doesn't like me. She looks down on me. She sneers at my job as a teacher, thinks I'm shallow and obsessed with appearances because I wear makeup. She's convinced I'm a gold digger and a troublemaker. She's even called me a makeup-wearing Husia, which honestly I kinda own. There's something oddly empowering about it. She walked over to me wearing this huge fake sugary sweet smile because of course I was browsing makeup and skincare. In her mind, this just confirmed all her negative opinions about me being superficial and vain. We mumbled greetings to each other, and then she said to me in a very surprised and condescending tone, "Buying more makeup?" Like she couldn't possibly imagine why I would need any more. "Yes," I replied, keeping a straight face. Apparently I have a reputation as a hussy to uphold. Her face just dropped. She instantly knew that I was aware of her little nickname for me. She realized that someone had spilled the beans and was telling me about her and the things she says behind people's backs. It felt incredible. I just turned around and walked away, leaving her standing there speechless. My partner and I quickly left the store before she could spot him and try to fill his head with her usual nonsense, or try to team up against me. Mil throws out my entire pantry of groceries during lockdown. Due to unforeseen circumstances, my mother-in-law has had to move in with my husband and me for a temporary period. I am of South Asian descent while my husband is white. I grew up eating Indian food and it remains a cuisine I deeply love and enjoy. With the recent stay-at-home orders, I've unexpectedly found myself with more time to dedicate to cooking than I ever had before. I had recently stocked my kitchen pantry with essentials like rice, various spices, and all the necessary ingredients to prepare my favorite dishes. My husband is completely supportive and genuinely enjoys the meals I cook. My mother-in-law, however, is the opposite. She has never been fond of me, and her comments often reflect this. She made remarks like, "What kind of people eat with their hands? Just use proper cutlery like normal people." My husband has always defended me in these situations, but having her presence in our home 24/7 is starting to wear him down. From the moment she moved in, the complaints began incessantly. "Why does that food smell so strong? It's gonna stink up the whole house. Stop cooking that." Good heavens, are you really feeding my son that garbage? Just cook normal American food for him. Knowing that the quarantine situation is stressful for everyone, I initially tried to keep the peace and stay silent. My husband did attempt to talk to her about her behavior once, but as usual his words had no impact on her. She simply refused to listen. Yesterday morning I woke up and went downstairs. I chatted with my husband and mother-in-law for a few minutes before heading into the kitchen. I opened my pantry door and I was met with a shock. It was completely empty. My rice, all my spices, my flour, everything was gone. Even my rice dispenser, which I had for years, was missing. I then checked the refrigerator, and aside from a few basic staples like milk, bread, butter, jam, and eggs, it was practically bare. I immediately called my husband into the kitchen and asked him what had happened to all the food. He looked just as confused as I was until MIL interjected, proudly announcing that she had thrown everything out. When we demanded to know why, she simply stated, "My son isn't accustomed to eating your kind of food. Just cook him what Americans eat." This comment particularly infuriated me. She has this bizarre fixation on refusing to acknowledge that I am American, and when she does, she makes sure to tell people that I only gained my citizenship through marriage, both of which are completely false. I was born in this country, and so were the last 4 generations of my family. To make matters worse, I had just been to the grocery store and most shelves were empty due to shortages. I returned home to this and she actually had the audacity to ask me later why I wasn't cooking dinner, as I usually do. Edit. My husband has since told her that what she did was completely unacceptable and appalling. We haven't yet resorted to threatening eviction, but it's on the table. I'm seriously considering reaching out to my SIL to see if she would be willing to take MIL in. Mil's main objection to moving in with SIL is that it would mean being further away from her friends. Honestly, at this point, I couldn't care less. We are in the middle of a global pandemic. She shouldn't even be socializing with her friends anyway. Throwing out someone's entire pantry, especially during a lockdown, that's not just a JustNoMIL, that's a full-blown food arsonist. The audacity is truly breathtaking. JN Mills' empty threat, "My son is their father and you can't change that." I'll never forget the exact words my former mother-in-law shrieked at me in my own driveway way back in 2006. Her utterly useless meth-addicted son was literally cowering behind her as she yelled. My daughters were just 3 and 6 years old at the time, and my fiance had already taken them inside the house for safety. What set her off on this tirade? Hearing my kids call him dad. We hadn't prompted them to do it. They had just started naturally because her precious son barely saw my girls 4 or 5 times a year. So there I was, facing this awful woman whose son was a complete deadbeat. He had his mommy fight his battles for him, never answered his phone when I called, didn't bother to work or pay child support, and didn't even know our youngest daughter's birthday or how to spell our oldest child's middle name. He was utterly uninvolved and useless. And then on the other hand, I had my fiance, this wonderful, kind, and loving man who had fallen in love with me and my girls. When he proposed, he said to me, "Those girls deserve a real dad, and I want to be that dad for them." This amazing man actively wanted to be their father, to step up and be present. So why on earth should I continue to deal with the deadbeat and his equally awful mother any longer? I simply replied to her outburst, "There's nothing I can do about it, huh? I guess we'll just see about that." That was the very last time she ever laid eyes on my children. I never called her son again, and I immediately stopped answering her persistent phone calls. It's truly astonishing how quickly he vanished from the picture when I stopped chasing him to be a parent. My fiance and I got married that fall. Right after Christmas, we started the adoption paperwork. My ex didn't even bother to contest it. He was a no-show at every court hearing. His mother did have the audacity to show up at my doorstep on Easter, but my husband firmly told her to get lost. My daughters are now 20 and 17 years old. They have absolutely no relationship with my ex. In the past 14 years, they haven't seen him, heard from him, nothing. No phone calls, no birthday cards, no social media requests, nothing at all. If he walked past them on the street, he would just be another stranger to them. He has been completely and utterly erased from my children's lives. He does not exist to them. He's not their father in any meaningful way. So yes, it turns out there was quite a lot I could do about it. My son is their father, and you can't change that. Oh honey, watch me. Some people are just sperm donors, not fathers. What do you think makes someone a real dad? Mil's inheritance threat backfires spectacularly. As background, for those who have seen my previous posts, Emil is obsessed with us having children, which isn't happening. My husband finally told her about his vasectomy, and while that seemed to silence her on the topic of grandchildren, our interactions since have been classic BEC, bitch eating crackers level annoying. Yesterday, Emil announced to us that she had purchased a burial plot for herself and Phil. She continued to detail her pre-planned funeral arrangements and her wishes for long-term medical care and power of attorney, all sensible things to organize. Then she steered the conversation towards her estate. Fael tried to change the subject, but MIL insisted that they needed to discuss this as a family. With a smugly satisfied look on her face, she began to explain how their estate would be divided. She made it very clear that my husband would be receiving next to nothing because we don't have children to carry on the family line, and the inheritance was intended to support their family line. You guys, you should have seen her face when my husband and I both simply nodded in agreement. We even verbally confirmed that this sounded like a perfectly reasonable and smart plan. I am almost certain she was expecting us to argue, burst into tears, create a scene, or beg her for a larger share of the estate. The person who did make a scene was Isil. But she is a whole other story. She dramatically sobbed at the very idea of her mommy and daddy not being around anymore, and loudly proclaimed how much she loves them so much. NLL clearly uses money to control her other children, but it has absolutely no power over us, and this fact visibly drives her absolutely batty. Last night she sent my husband an email apologizing for her decision regarding the will. She also suggested creating a separate line of communication about this issue, specifically excluding me from the conversation. It was transparently a ploy to get him to plead with her to change her mind, or beg for a larger inheritance. My husband simply forwarded me the email, and then responded directly to her, copying me in. His response was something along the lines of, "Mom, OP and I want you and Dad to enjoy your money and have a happy and secure retirement. It is your money to do with as you wish, and we will absolutely never criticize your decisions about it." Ha! I bet the rest of her children are already bickering and scheming about their future inheritances, but not us. Sometimes the most effective way to handle a just no is with impeccable manners and complete indifference. Inheritance threat backfire? Chef's kiss. Mil thought she was dealing a blow, but indifference is their superpower. Want more JustNoMIL wins? Like and subscribe and tell me what kind of Just No post is your favorite.